Hello, welcome to FountainFX. We are looking at the US dollar versus the rand today, purely because I've had quite a few people ask about trading the rand, and so I thought I would just share some quick analysis of the rand itself. I'm just going to change that to a different scale, and what we can see from the rand is that it does actually trend quite readily. So we can see from, these are years, so from 2001 we were at a high, sorry, in terms of South African currency we were at a low, but in terms of US dollar we were at a high against the South African rand. Then we were at a low in 2004, back at a high in 2008, low in 2010, if you remember the World Cup. The US dollar to rand value, pound to rand value, and the euro to rand value was quite low. Therefore there was strength in the rand itself, and then since then we've steadily been in an uptrend on the US dollar against the rand, the same for the pound and the same for the euro, and we are now back at previous highs. So there is the possibility of this changing and turning and starting to push down, so we need to be aware of that. However, we are still in an uptrend. This trend line hasn't been broken. If we go and we have a look at a smaller time frame, we can see that the trend is quite considerable, it's quite strong. We're going back to over a year ago in 2012 there, so the price has been pushing up since there. We have been for the last, since the end of last year to now, there's been a pullback, and that pullback has recently been broken. So this is on a weekly chart that we're looking at here. These are, each candlestick shows a week of price action. And since then price has got down to a previous low, or a previous area of resistance here that it broke through, which is the 10.3. So 10.3 rands to the US dollar, and since then price has been pushing up, but it hasn't pushed all the way back up to the previous high, which was 11.3, and we're starting to see some consolidation, so we need to be aware of that, but that may be offering us some opportunity rather than something to be scared of. If we go down into the daily chart, we can see that this was a downtrend, short-term downtrend, and price did reach this low of the 10.3. Since then it's rallied up, it's broken this counter trend line, so that was a very nice trade opportunity back here in May, and since then price has pushed up quite considerably. We've had a bit of a sideways move now. We've got a new low forming at the 10.58 or the 10.60, we might as well say, down here, and a new high up here at the 10.86. So we've got an area of what would be seen as 26 points, but one thing we need to be aware of in terms of the scale when it comes to the rand, so it's not 26 points, it's actually 260 points. So a 260 point move from there to there is quite considerable, and it's a nice profitable trade. So we are looking on the daily chart, and in a period of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, as in 1 week, it fell 260 points. So 260 points would have been $2,600 off a $1,000 trade, as in one lot. So let's just go into the 4 hour and we can see a bit clearer. And where we are at the moment, we can see that there's prices come into this previous low area, and while we had a spinning top here which is showing some confusion, uncertainty, we've then had some price pushing down, but with this long wick on the 4 hour it's showing that there's actually some buying pressure coming in, despite the fact that it has actually pushed down lower. So we're looking at a low here at the 10.65. The actual lowest low is down here at the 10.63. One thing we need to be aware of is in terms of the scale when it comes to trading the rand. So if we take a look at the order chart on here, we have our buy and our sell. So we've got 10.67683. Ignore the fifth decimal place because that's point of a pip, or suppose it's point of a pip. But this is comparing it to how we would trade for the pound against the US dollar or the euro against the US dollar, that kind of thing, which is to 4 decimal places for 1 pip. In reality, it's showing here, it's showing like there's a 24 pip spread, the difference between here and here, and that seems quite considerable. It does go up to 30 pips at times, and so you think, hang on a minute, if I place a trade, I'm going to suddenly be, if I'm placing a trade for one lot and I click my entry, I'm $300 down on the trade instantly. That is not the case. The reality is that while it says 30 there, it's actually treated as 3. So in reality, when we're trading the US dollar against the rand, we have to consider it to being going to 3 decimal places, not 4. Okay, it's not like the yen, which goes to 2 decimal places, so it is pretty unique in itself. But the opportunity is if I click here, so I'm going to place a buy order. So I'm placing the buy, and currently I am minus $22 on my trade for placing a full lot. So you've got to allow for the fact that there is some swap over between the ZAR, the South African rand, and the US dollar. So there's some variation between it being one lot being precisely $1,000 and therefore one point being precisely $10. So it looks like it's around about $7 to $8 a pip, not $10 a pip. So you've got to look at that scaling, but the reality is that when it shows 30 points as the spread, it's actually 3 points as the spread, or in this case 2.4 points. So actually that's quite close. It's not a bad spread or bad difference in that sense. So if we look at this now, if we were looking to buy here, because we're now down at previous lows, it's also touching this trend line here that we're using as the triangle. Because price has rallied into this area of consolidation, we would be expecting price to then rally out with momentum up. Also, the fundamentals is saying we should be expecting price to push higher. So buy order is not necessarily a bad order, a bad trade at the moment. So we will just see how this works. The one thing I like about MT4 is you can just drag it, grab it and drag it. So there you go. So we put our stop just below this previous low, and we see how this trade pans out. And that's really it from FountainFX. Happy trading. Have a go at trading the US dollar rand and see if you can make some profit from it. Thank you very much.